Hi guys, and welcome back to Finchcraft with me, Danny. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this wooden placemat for the bathtub so you can watch movies or drink wine, and all for less than £2. So stick around and I'll show you how to make it. Okay, so let's go over the essential bits that you'll need. So first of all, this is just some wood that I got from B&Q for £2. It's CLS. You can pick it up from Homebase too. This one is a center point finder with a screw in it. This is something that I've shown you on a previous video. Next, you'll need a drill with a brad point piece in it, and the brad point is 6mm thick, and you can see the brad point just there. So next is a piece of sandpaper, a pencil. So you'll also need a small palm router. I'm using a Bosch. This one has, I actually have a small piece in it which is about 3mm, 4mm, and I have another piece which is also a flat piece, and that is about 12mm, but it doesn't really matter. For the base, I have this adjustable base that clips onto the router, so you can just adjust it with these handles. I'm going to use this piece of tape as something round to draw around. So you can pick these up from eBay for a couple of pounds. They really don't cost much. So if you haven't got them already, then eBay's the place to go. A tape measure, a steel set square, and some wood adhesive, preferably waterproof. It's literally PVA. Okay, so to start off, we're going to use a pencil, and we're going to line up all three pieces of wood, and we're going to use the straight edge to make sure that all the lines are actually in line. So I do cover this in another video, so if you'd like to see that, then you can have a look at another video, which is how to drill holes for dowels. So once you've done that, you want to flip over that middle piece of wood and line it up with the last piece of wood like I just have there. And then you're just going to follow your lines and make sure that they're all in line again. So for this next part, I'm going to use the center point finder. I also cover this in another video. It's only a very short one. And you want to go from the bottom of the piece of wood each time, just to make sure that you get that accurate drill hole. This is the easiest way I find anyway. Okay, so now you just want to do this on all pieces of wood, wherever the lines are. Okay, so next we're on to drilling the holes. Now this is where the brad point comes in really handy, so start off slow and make sure you speed it up as you go along, and then dig down into it as I am in the video. Do this along all of your little marks that you've put down, and make sure that you try to drill them as straight as possible. Afterwards, you want to sand down all of the holes that you actually drilled. This is just to get rid of any snags or tears that might affect the pieces of wood gluing together. Sand every single piece of wood that you can, but don't rub it too hard. So now it's just a case of applying the glue. So do this in one stroke and try to put a little bit in each hole as you go along. After that, it's just a case of putting in the dowels, and then lining up the pieces of wood to the holes and pushing them together. This can sometimes be a little bit tricky, so take your time. Okay, so now it's just the same on the other board. So we're just going to lightly squeeze some glue into those holes and along that length. Put the dowels in. Line up the holes and push them together again. You could clamp this by the end of the project, so just if you've got some clamps long enough, you can actually clamp them all together to get a nice tight fit, but don't worry too much about it. So now all we're going to do is we're going to draw around our circle and make sure that we've got a nice thick pencil mark on the wood, and we're also going to use your phone and we'll just line that up and draw some lines each side of it. Then it's time to use the palm router. I'm using the small 3mm piece for this just so I can go over in a couple of passes. So this angle is set to about, I think about 20 degrees, something like that, nothing too much. So I'm going to put that on, tighten it up, and I'm actually using my hand as a guide here, but if you've got one, if you've actually got a guide rail that comes with the machine, then it's probably better to use that. It'll be a lot more accurate. So now that we've done that, get your piece of sandpaper and just give it a light brush over the holes, making sure that you don't rub it too much or too hard. Get your phone, make sure that it fits. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to 3mm piece and I'm going to change it for the 12mm piece. Both pieces are flat router bits, so they'll give you a nice flat base if you keep everything sturdy. I'm also going to change the angle back to 90 degrees so I get a nice flat cut on the base. Remember, whenever you're cutting into the center of a board, don't start with the outside line. Always start in the middle, go around in small circles until you work your way to the edges. This will make it a hell of a lot easier for when you're actually doing the outside part and the middle part is already there, so you just work your way around in small circles until you get to the size that you want. So now we're just going to give that a quick sand over with a piece of sandpaper, and then I can start on the next hole. So after you've cut the hole, it's always a good idea to get the round item that you put into the hole in the first place. Make sure that it fits. If it doesn't, just draw another little pencil line and go over it again with a router. So trying again, perfect fit. So I am sorry about this, guys, but I forgot to mention that you needed a sander as well. Now, you can use a mouse sander like I'm using, or a palm sander, orbital, whichever sander you want, belt sander. But if you haven't got any of these, it's fine. You can just use a small piece of sandpaper or wrap it around a block of wood. Make sure that you do the edges. Make them nice and round so there's no snags. It's also a good idea to do the ends as well and get them nice and flat. Okay, so job done, and as you can see it's nice and flat. I gave it a lot of sanding and it's ready to go on the bath. Okay, so here's the finished product. I think it looks quite good actually. I did make another version of this as well, so if you'd like to see that one, how it's made, then just give me a shout and I'll show you in another video. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, please subscribe and let me know what you think.